Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 29 of Big Leagues Flicks, a sports movie podcast. I'm Jamie McKinnon, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Christian Webster and Jordan Reed. What's going on tonight, boys?
Hey, boys, what's going on? Great to be back for another fantastic week here. Sad day in the world of sports with everybody's hockey dad passing away, but a lot of good things happening this week. So happy to get into this movie.
Hey everybody, great to see you guys tonight. Tough day in the world of sports. We did lose Canada's hockey dad, and you know what? I'm not a big fan of the CFL, but Chris Schultz too. That was a tough one. He seemed like a really good personality and really well respected in his community as well. So a little bit of heavy hearts, but we're gonna get through it. We're gonna have a great show tonight. Let's go, boys.
Yep. And on a positive note, happy Coming to America 2 Day. It dropped on Prime today. Just
really?
Pretty sweet. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I saw something come across the old wire there on Spotify about the soundtrack, so I might have to check that one out.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that one. But this week, we got a good one on deck. We're hitting the golf links this week, and we're taking it back to. I can't believe this movie came out 21 years ago. It just seems crazy to me because I can remember when it was like in the theater. But this week we're doing The Legend of Bagger Vance. Let's jump into the trailer.
Maybe I better come back when you're not so busy.
Busy? Well, I thought you were going to say drunk. In fact, there isn't enough whiskey in the state of Georgia to get me drunk enough.
Well, how drunk is drunk enough?
It's all a matter of brain cells. You see, every drink of liquor you take kills 1,000 brain cells. And first the sadness cells die, so you smile real big.
And then the quiet cells go, so you just say everything real loud for no reason at all.
And finally, come the memory cells.
These are tough to kill.
We need someone from Savannah in the match.
Who's that? I could have killed you out there.
Oh, no, sir. See, I set myself directly in front of you. Because judging by how you was hitting them balls, I figured that's why I'd be out of harm's way. Bagger Vance, the name. You lost your swing. We got to go find him.
I heard my dad tell how you won every tournament there ever was.
The journey you was, you ain't never gonna be again. Ever.
You don't know a damn thing about me.
10 years and not one single solitary word from you? You don't do that to someone you love.
It was too long ago.
No, was it?
This is becoming embarrassing.
Oh, no, sir. It's been embarrassing for quite some time now.
I can't do this.
Yes, you can.
This isn't your shot, Bagger.
Nope. It's yours. Oh, it's some storm we're brewing.
What was it, Adele? What did you like about us?
I like the way we danced.
Inside each and every one of us is something that's ours and ours alone.
Was there something you wish to discuss? Because this might not be the right time to.
Play will continue! Cars! Get your cars, boys!
Yeah, I always felt a man's grip on his club just like a man's grip on his world.
Well, you guys know the drill. Before we dive into the movie, we like to crack the top on a nice cold beer. So without further ado, let's get into our Brew review.
Beer here, oh, ain't bald from your head. Ice cold beer! Ice cold beer, yeah?
What are we drinking tonight, Webb?
Well, boys, you know how inspired I was last week by all the PGA guys rocking the black and the Sunday Reds for Tiger. And you know how I like my early morning rounds of golf in the summer. Nothing beats waking up before the sun and just teeing off as the sun's beginning to peek out over the horizon, the warmth of the morning, the smell of the fresh cut fairway, sight of the flagstick just gently blowing in the breeze, and that sun starting to burn off the dew from the grass, creating that beautiful haze and that perfect golf moment. Those hazy mornings inspired this week's selection from our friends at Cowbell Brewing Company in beautiful Blythe, Ontario. This week, we're diving into a pint of their Hazy Days Juicy IPA. Hazy Days is a juicy tropical punch of hops without the IPA bitterness. Aggressively whirlpool hopped, firm hopped, and dry hopped, brewed with an outrageous amount of Galaxy, Mosaic, Madarina, and El Dorado hops to create a supremely refreshing and delicious beer. Hazy Days bursts with tantalizing tropical hopped aroma and juicy flavors of mango, pineapple, papaya, and sweet orange. At 6%, this is a beer you most likely want to pair with some food, so go ahead and grab yourself some pizza, tacos, or some pad thai and enjoy it with this pairing. For more information on this and any of their other fine beers, products, and services, including online ordering, be sure to check them out at cowbellbrewing.com or give them a follow on all social media platforms by checking them out at Cowbell Brewing. As always, Big League Flicks reminds you to please enjoy responsibly and always ensure you got a safe ride home. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. Well read, Webb. Very well read.
Very well read.
They made it real easy for me this week. Let's put it that way. Hell of a job on their website and some stuff there.
Gonna drink it out of the glass tonight.
Yeah, we're going out of glasses. The cans recommended us to have it out of a glass. So, Cowbell, thanks for that. We're going to go out of the glass. The second one.
I think I win. I think my glass wins.
Yeah, you definitely have the proper glass.
Yeah.
You have more style.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what, guys? This is really good. This is a delicious. The hazy beers, Webb, you've been talking about them, and he said, you know what? Let's give this a try. I've never had a hazy beer. Whatever the hazy craze is.
When's Sam Adams, our boy Sam Adams? They got a crazy hazy IPA. When's it coming our way? Hey, Sam Adams,
we'll hit them up.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is delicious, Cowbell. Definitely great. A very, very tasty pint. This would be a great beer. Like pair with food. And I could see how it said pad thai or something like that. Delicious. Very, very tasty. Lots of great flavors. That's wonderful, Jim.
Yeah, I like it. It's nice too because I'm done with winter. I know we were going through some winter beers, and I'm done with winter in general. I'm ready to move on into the spring, and nothing can kick you into spring like a nice hazy IPA, and it's tasty. This is a good one. Yep, absolutely.
It's funny. I feel like this is one of those beers because it has such flavor to it. It would sneak up on you and knock you on your ass pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's pretty high in alcohol content, like 6%. It's no joke. So I can see why they could pair it with, why they say pair it with food. But yeah, it's definitely flavorful. It's actually really, really good. This might be trouble tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they got a really cool story too. These guys, 3 generations. I was telling you guys before this. So 3 generations of the Sparling family have called Blythe home. And it's a small little town. I had to Google where it was. I kind of remember hearing about it, and it's not far from my good buddies in Kitchener, Waterloo, and London. So it's next time I'm down that way, I think we should make a trip there. But a little over 1,000 people there, and they do all kinds of stuff. They built the idea of the brewery was basically to help bring employment to the region for so many people living in that town. So. Pretty cool. They got a full-on kitchen and restaurant with a store in there.
Nice.
The building itself looks like this beautiful rustic barn. It's got like all kinds of space where you can get married and venues and things like that. I think we got to make a road trip there when COVID's all said and done. It looks awesome. Their website's fantastic. Be sure to check them out, guys. Awesome stuff.
Salud. So as we mentioned, this week we're doing the Legend of Bagger Vance, directed by our boy Robert Redford. Legend. Distributed in 2000 by DreamWorks Pictures. They got a 6.7 rating on Internet Movie Database and a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty low rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Budget of $80 million. Grossed only $39.5 million at the box office. So Music by Rachel Portman. Starring Will Smith, Matt Damon, and Charlize Theron. Do a little quick movie.
How are you now?
How are you? A disillusioned war veteran, Captain Ranulph Juna, reluctantly agrees to play in a golf exhibition match to help save an Old Flames family golf course during the Great Depression. In advance of the match, Juna meets a mysterious caddy, Bagger Vance, who teaches him the secret of the authentic golf stroke, which turns out to also be the secret to finding the meaning of life. Let's jump into our character review. And let's start off with Ranulph Juna, played by Matt Damon.
Juna, to me, fellas, before we get into this even more, was, I don't know, you can disagree with me all you want, was almost a character ahead of his time. And I feel like that type of character, the character we see today, was almost more ahead of his time. For example, to me, he's an example of trauma and what trauma can do to somebody. Mm-hmm. And I feel like even when that movie came out in the year 2000, that idea and the concept of trauma, we weren't really talking about it yet.
Not
and
to
even
the mental.
No, and the mental health piece didn't seem to be as big, and overcoming, what he had to went through. Back then it was okay, it's over, move on, come home, and you could see people wanting him. Okay, let's go. You're back to who you were, but he wasn't back there yet, and I kind of really put some thought into this guy because there's all sorts of things. I mean, he was the golden boy of golf prior to going over to this. Then he lost this battle and took really, he felt awful about it and what happened to him about it and how it happened to his company but he really never got over that. And I think in the year 2000, maybe, I don't know if people really knew, or 2001, whatever it was, didn't really know the concept of trauma as much maybe as the mainstream people do today and the effects it can have on somebody. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I really noticed about this guy. I thought, again, he's the idea of a lot of layers to him, and there's a lot to the character itself. It's kind of the rise and the fall, the rise again, how somebody can have so much going for them, and then all of a sudden it all goes away that fast. He had everything you could have imagined. He had, the place, the town, the looks, the girl, the game. He had it all going for him, Webb. And I think, to me, he's a victim of trauma in a show or a story that was ahead of its time.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of the whole PTSD thing hasn't, I don't think that was new per se, right? Like, there was all kinds of stories about guys coming back from Vietnam and even before that, World War II, and they see and go through so much, right? But I think, to your point, JR, I feel like this is maybe the start of seeing it in kind of like the Hollywood context, right? In a movie that you don't really kind of expect it. Like, I feel like it was a weird kind of story angle, actually, to be quite honest with you, that I didn't think needed to be there, but made sense. Like, I think they could have done something else to show him going down some kind of like tragic path. Whether, I think this was just more of an attempt to make him seem like he was a really noble person, right? At the end, at the heart of it. But I don't know. It didn't really click with me. Matt Damon, though, how crazy young does he look in this? Like, Mrs. Webster and I were talking about yesterday. The guy's over 50 now.
Yeah.
Like, he just looks like a pup in this. Like, this is like just after, I would think it's fairly recently after Good Will Hunting at this point, right? Like, Good Will Hunting.
2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's still a young
I think it's like 4 years after Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. So, I mean, looks great. All the guys in this movie, in the particular movie, all have a good look about them.
Yeah.
I mean, the character himself, like you said, he's definitely damaged goods, and he needs something to kind of bring him back from the dead and find joy in living again. And golf ends up being that for him, even though he maybe is a little opposed to it at the start. But I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to add.
Yeah. No, I think I actually like the way the story's written, because at that time, a lot of guys came back from the war damaged, and I think that was a common theme, especially heading into the Great Depression. And then, you couple that, you add that on top of it, and it just shows the devastation of widespread devastation across everyone that came back. Like, not just people that came back from the war, but everyone else as well, right? The impacts of that. So I kind of like how it was written that way. I think it just fit with the time period that they were focusing on, which is the 30s, I think. It was early.
Yeah, but the thing I don't understand with his storyline angle, right? So we're led to believe, like, he comes from money. Like, because he comes, because he comes back, and if
that was his a mansion that he was in, like that.
That's right. So he's got some huge estate with, I'm guessing, slaves.
Yeah.
Right, and so who he seems to, like, the slaves all seem to, like, not care, and he doesn't, like, that's a weird angle in and of itself that they didn't really depict overly. Like, it just
I think we're meant to think that he came back and basically it's not a functioning plantation anymore. It's just kind of sitting there, and they're just, the slaves are there, but he's just like, just live and be, like, I don't care. I'm I'm not going to work you guys in the fields. I think that's what we're mentally. He's just letting everything go because he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I took from it.
Yeah. I was curious about how he made money, right? Like,
I think he just
aside from, because he's not golfing, he just had money before. I feel like that was never overly explained. I guess he probably just was kind of an aristocrat before he went over, though. So
I think so.
anyways.
Yeah. I think I think that whole he ran in the circles where they all came from money.
Do you guys think too, though, with his character, like that idea of the war piece too, like the patriot aspect, like a little bit of patriotism, the little bit of American thing, the Southern pride. I also thought his character, I forgot to mention this, does a really good job of like paralleling the ups and downs of golf, the game itself that we've all played.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how he kind of follows the ebbs and flows of golf. And we all know through an 18 holes that we have great moments, we have low moments, and we have the one shot that makes us come back where we feel like we're a pro at one point.
Yeah.
So I feel like kind of his ups and downs in life kind of mimic his ups and downs, and the ups and downs he goes through in golf. Like, this guy goes through a range in golf. Like, holy cow. He's all over the place. Anyway, I forgot to mention that in the first round through, and I was like, holy cow, this guy goes up and down.
Let's move on to Adele Invergordon, played by Charlize Theron.
I had her as just like, she was resourceful in doing whatever she has to do in the era of a Great Depression, kind of being abandoned, so to speak, by her father to survive and make this work. You know, she's in business essentially at a time, she's breaking gender barriers for that matter at the time. She's going up against the old boys, so to speak, and the, you know, the tight-knit cliques of business in the South, I'm assuming.
The Nescalusas of the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great name.
So she's doing a really good job of that, of basically when she says, I'm gonna get Hagen and Jones and they're gonna play a charity thing. And she's doing it. She's a visionary. I thought she was a pretty cool character. I thought she had some great chemistry with the cast, some good scenes. Sometimes the accent from Theron a little bit once in a while. It was like an interesting Southern accent. Did you guys notice that? I know she's from South Africa. Did you guys find this accent a little bit interesting on that? I don't know. Like,
I thought she pulled it off pretty well, but there were times, like especially in the emotional moments, because that's usually when you hear somebody from another country's accent sneak out a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought she did pretty well with it, though. I thought she nailed it pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys thought of that one.
Yeah, I had. She's a charmer, and she's also manipulative, right? She knows how to push buttons, right? When it's talking to Jones and Hagen, or she's talking to June on the bench there. She's principled when she tries to get Matt Damon to play in the tournament and basically sleeping with him. So, you know, she's a bit of a vixen that way. I mean, to your point about the accent, I don't know. To be quite honest, I wasn't really listening for it. I just kind of was trying to enjoy it for what it was. Charlize, my wife asked me what I thought of or what I think of Charlize Theron, and she's just an absolute smoke show. Like, she's beautiful. And so, I mean, I don't know if and the other stuff I've seen her in, I've enjoyed her in pretty much every other movie. I wasn't really paying attention to the accent, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
That's fair.
She's a great actress. She does.
Yeah, she really is. Yes.
What was the one, Monster or whatever, that she won the Oscar for or something?
Monster's Ball.
Yeah.
Or no, not Monster.
No, just Monster, was it?
Monster.
Yeah.
Monster's Ball was Halle Berry. Sorry. Let's move on to Bagger Vance, played by Will Smith.
This is an era of Will Smith I really like. I really like Will Smith around this time, in these 2000 years. Actually, you know what? I like a lot of Will Smith stuff. I still like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for that matter.
I love Fresh Prince.
So calm and cool. I had perfect guy for the role. He did really well and knew how to just navigate waters all around him. And he was able to kind of man up Juna at a time so delicately, when Juna needed it. Just telling him, go ahead and quit, because I can't quit. He's like, oh, go ahead and quit. No worries. Just hook it into the air, we'll be down by whatever. Just doing things like that, letting him fail. For example, like in the sand, when he's like, if I eagle this, it's game over. He's like, you can't do that. Just things like that where you knew, and he was perfect at like pulling the string, so to speak, on Juna. I thought he was a really cool character. And it had been 20 years since I watched this movie, and I liked his character then, and I like this character now. So I thought he was pretty awesome. He's kind of a hustler, still smooth, but that $5 at the end when he's like, I believe there's still only $5, and yeah, $5. Even back then,
$5 guaranteed.
$5 guaranteed. So really cool
And the shoes.
character, and the yeah, that's right, and the shoes. Very cool character, Webb.
Yeah.
My hot take, I hate this character. I think he is completely over the top. I think it's completely corny. His lines are way too overdone and over talking. Not Will Smith's part. I thought Will Smith acted it beautifully, but I think the writing was so over the top. The beautiful swing part, like, oh my God, just talking and talking and talking. I'm like, just shut up and let the guy swing. It would drive me insane. The whole authentic swing bit. I just found like there were so many parts that were with this particular character that would not be believable to me. Number one, we're talking about the South in the 1930s and a black man having that kind of control over something like this, right? Where the mayor or Nescalus or whatever is like, oh, you can't leave, and you're never going to caddy again. Like, really? You're going to do a lot more, probably worse than that, than just offer to not let him have a caddy job anymore. So I don't know. I didn't find the character believable. I know it's supposed to be based. The whole movie is loosely based around him, but I don't like it. In retrospect, 20 years ago when I first watched him, I thought, yeah, you know what? Now I watch it, and I just think it's corny. I don't know. I didn't like it.
I totally agree with what you were saying about the racial aspects and stuff like that. But I do think he's incredibly important to the movie and the way it's written. You know, I know his name's in the title of it, but like it's the entire story is based on an old. We're gonna get into it a little bit later on in little known facts, but the whole story is based on an old Hindu folklore, basically thing about, and I'll kind of get more into it. So the way it's written is very accurate to that depiction, and the only thing I would do differently, though, here's what I would do differently, and I agree with you, Webb. I think there's some really good lines, but they probably, instead of having like a 2-minute speech, it could have been like 1 minute. You know what I mean? Like just trim it down a bit. He does tend to repeat himself in a couple of scenes about the swing, so they could trim a lot of that back, and probably would be maybe an hour and 50 minutes instead of a 2-hour movie or whatever, or an hour and 45 minutes instead of 2 hour. So I totally agree with that. I think Will Smith did an awesome job on it. Here's the change I would have made if I was writing it. You know how Bagger Vance is clearly a tangible human, like he's clearly someone that's there, that's existing, right? The change that I would have made is I would have made it so that it was vague, not explained, but I wouldn't have had anybody converse with Bagger except for Matt Damon, so that you would have been left as a user, as the viewer, to be like, was this person in Matt Damon's head, or was he legitimately a person?
100%.
I thought about the same thing.
You know what I mean? Like I would have had it. I would have had it differently and set up differently in that way. So I would have.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I probably would have had Hardy carry the clubs in the way I would have had like Bagger say, "You carry the clubs. I'm going to work with Mr. Juna here," you know. And then Bagger would just be walking and giving him advice, and Matt Damon would be conversing with him, but you never see anybody else factor into that. You know what I mean? So he would have still had the exact same amount of show on screen and all of that, but at the end of it, you would have been like, was he real or was he not? And it would never be explained whether he is, and it's up to the viewer to make that determination. That's the only difference they've done.
See, Jamer, I still sometimes wonder if Bagger Vance was that type of character and in Matt Damon in his head. I wondered that too. It was all in his head. The fact he said that makes you think of that.
He does speak to Hardy. He speaks to Nescalusa. He speaks to Adele.
He does, but you wonder even if that's Matt Damon and saying in his own head, okay, he's all done. He's shaking hands with these guys. Okay, I'm done with this guy. Yeah. And the only thing I can say back to that, Webb, is in regards to the slow talking, he's talking to a really damaged individual here. You can't just say, fix this, fix this, fix this. You have to go slow and put baby gloves on this guy because he is damaged goods.
Yeah, I get all that. And to your point, Jamer, again, I think they try to hint at that kind of thought at the very last scene, right? Where the old guy, where Jack Lemmon actually, we think, has died, right? From a heart attack, and he's walking towards Bagger. And I mean, Bagger was older and he was a kid. And so, like, yes, Bagger could have been a dead ghost at this point, but like
that's what my take was too.
Oh, it was just
died at the end.
That's the Field of Dreams moment right there.
Yeah,
that was a little much.
just
I give you on that
easy.
one. That's a little much.
I don't know. I thought, like I said,
here's the other thing too, Webb. We've all played lots of golf, and we've been around golf and know about some of the metaphors he was using with regards to the swing and stuff. But people that don't know golf maybe don't get that, because I actually watched it with Cleo, and she doesn't know anything about golf, right? So she found those scenes kind of interesting, where he was talking about the golf swing being like when the crowd blends away. That's kind of corny, right? Like everybody knows, you focus your vision and the crowd blends away. I mean, that's mental toughness 101. But like Cleo's watching, she's like, "Oh, look at everyone's disappearing," and he's just focusing on the fairway. And I'm like, yeah, that's like, if you really like, there's a lot of distractions, you narrow your focus. So I think for some people that would be enlightening, but yeah, for a lot of people that are like, I've heard this many times before, that would be corny, and you know what I mean. For
the average non-grumpy individial, it would probably be great, but for me, grumpiness,
you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong.
I'm just saying. I think it would. I was generally, and I mean, we'll get into this, but one of the big gripes I have about this movie, and I think it was similar to one of the other movies we did. There's no real central main character to me in this movie.
Yeah, it jumps around. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Yuna is kind of,
but like again, because it's told through Hardy's perspective, like it's I don't know, it's different.
Speaking of which, let's jump into Hardy Greaves now, played by J. Michael Moncrief.
Again, thought another pretty cool character, cute but tough. He had some pretty good lines, some pretty good quotes. He had a good scene with Juna in the locker room, and Juna kind of talked about the
love that scene.
Speech to Hardy. That was a really good speech. I had him as a cool kid. Jack Lemmon being in there was pretty awesome, doing the thing with him. I thought that was pretty neat to see, and that was kind of his swan song, basically. So
yeah, he died.
I thought that was really neat to see and hear. He did a really good job for a young kid of carrying that many lines. You don't see that often. A lot of lines and a lot of scenes, and he held it really well the whole time. So I think a lot of credit goes out to that.
He's very plucky.
Yeah. That's one of the words I had to describe him.
The ability to hold, I give a lot of credit. Maybe the best job done of any actor might have been that one right there. Just the age and the maturity would have taken, and like how long you would have had to, the shots and the shoot and all that, to hold and do it for as long as you did at that age. So there's a lot of credit. And I feel like having him on with Bagger on the bag, in a big golf tournament, it kind of helps with the hometown feel too of Savannah. Great town, by the way. If you ever go to Savannah, Georgia, guys, go. Great.
Yeah, we had when I played in Augusta, we had our year-end party in Savannah, Georgia, and we did a casino cruise. Oh,
nice. What a town.
Me and my buddy went to the thrift store and got matching green leather jackets. Like, we dressed up like 70s gear. We had like shades on. It was an absolute disaster.
Yeah, you have the chance, listeners, go. It's an awesome place.
Yeah.
And I think he did a good job of having a young kid in the Deep South. I think that really helps with the thick Southern accent. I think it helps the whole mantra of the whole movie, so to speak, with the young kid, anything like that, Webb.
Yeah, I love this. I was gonna say the pluckiness, his wholesomeness, and his like innocence, right? And you see that in key moments, and his innocence is what kind of gives you kind of hope for other characters, right? Like when he's all pissed off about his dad being a street sweeper and is embarrassed by it, and then Matt Damon tears a strip off him and basically sets him straight. Like, and it's really just a kid kind of not knowing any better, right? Like the things that his dad's had to do and sacrifice, and you see him like when he goes and he stands with him before that putt, and he's like proud again of his dad. Like there's a simplicity about it, and like an innocence that I love this character. I thought exactly what you said, JR. Like the kid did a fantastic job acting. I'd be curious. What did you say the actor's name was?
J. Michael Moncrief. I haven't really seen him in much else, but
I was gonna say the name doesn't sound familiar, but yeah, he did a fantastic job. I like the character a lot. I think the kid himself did a lot to bring some some validity to the heartfelt moments of the story.
Absolutely, 100%. Let's move on to Walter Hagen, played by Bruce McGill, veteran of the screen.
Love Bruce McGill in a lot of different roles. I even like him as Jack from the old MacGyver back in the day. So I can't say enough good things about it. What a job! What a job playing like the party golfer that a lot of us wish we could be. The look, everything about it, the slicked back hair, the fancy rides. Oh, I love how he wanted this when he was shooting off the sand. Quick, give me a cigarette first. I love that guy ripping darts and hitting golf balls. Everything about this guy I like. Even the fact with the greasy businessman part of him with all the exhibitions and I'll do this, you'll do that. He's a businessman. He's hustling. He's doing what he has to do back in the day in the Great Depression to make money. So I thought, nice job by Miguel, and just a very cool story with him and Walter Hagen. And I read on a little bit that he got into exhibitions, and basically that was how he started making his bank, so to speak.
Yeah,
he was
like the Babe Ruth of golf at that time.
Yeah, he was a barnstormer essentially too. And you're like, this guy is literally the Babe Ruth of golf. And just the whole mantra when he sits up to the bar, he gets. I thought Webb would like it. Double Scotch. That's for that was something Webb would like.
Baby.
And just the whole persona he brought, very very cool. Webb.
Yeah, greasy car salesman, ultimate showman, and a bit of a self-indulgent prick at times too. But fantastic job by Miguel. I got not a whole lot to add. He was good. His golf swing was shit, but he was okay.
Yeah. Let's move on to Bobby Jones, played by Joel Gretsch.
So everything Hagen was, Jones was in his own way as well. First of all, this guy is handsome.
Oh,
holy cow. The guy who played him, that is a handsome guy.
There's not too many movies where you have young Matt Damon where he gets upstaged by another guy.
We were talking about this today. Jamer brought that. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. So his story is so cool. The Augusta National piece, helping design it, the whole piece of him in Georgia. Jamie can go on a little bit later about the Georgia factor and Bobby Jones, but man, oh man, what a cool character. And he's that overachiever you would have grown up with who just was good at everything. Unbelievable. And just the whole morals of him. I thought it was a pretty cool scene with Juno where he's like, yeah, I'm all done, Juno. And then Juno's like, I'm not going to let you win or whatever. No, I wouldn't have another way. I thought that was just neat. And he just epitomized the class aspect of golf.
Yep. He's Ben Hogan before Ben Hogan, right? And Arnold Palmer before Arnold Palmer. And, I'm not going to mention the other guy because, mega, but he is that guy, right? And as far as the actors go, like you said, this guy's a man rocket too. I think of all the actors, this guy had the best golf swing.
Great swing.
Yes.
It was very fluid, very smooth. Matt Damon's, and I know we'll probably talk about it later, Matt Damon's a little bit jerky, and Hagen's was kind of all over the place, but yeah, this guy's golf swing was just really smooth. He must have watched some tape or something because he was, or I don't know, he must play, I don't know, but his swing was pretty silky and pretty smooth.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. The only thing I'll just mention is the writers did a really good job because the movie was fictional, but they brought these two actual true-to-life people into the movie, characters, Bobby Jones and Walter Hagen. I thought that was kind of neat how they blended that story. And everything that what's her name, Adele Invergordon says during her speech, whether on the stage, about their back history, that's all true about both Hagen and Jones. That's how incredible Jones was, that he was able to accomplish all that he did in the game of golf while he was getting 3 different degrees and is building a law practice and doing all that stuff. He was just an incredible individual that did so many things in such a tough time.
When you hear about people like that, do you not just sit there and wonder when they sleep?
That's exactly what I think about.
I just sit there, I'm like, how the hell do you have 29 hours in your day? How does that work for you?
Yeah.
I'm always curious.
I don't know how you can accomplish that much in such a short period of time, but yeah, he's just, and down in Augusta, Georgia, he's a god down there. His name is on everything. They renamed the stretch of interstate that goes through there the Bobby Jones Highway. He's a legend down in Georgia still to this day. Are there any other notable characters that stand out for you guys?
I like the four old guys there who kind of ran the town behind the scenes. The Peanut Gallery. They're in tons of other shows. I can't remember all the names off the top of my head.
Mescaluso was the headliner there.
Oh, man.
That guy that played him, Peter Goretti, he's in all kinds of stuff too. He's in Sneaky Pete. You watch that,
Yeah.
Webb?
Yeah, he's the grandpa.
Yeah.
He's your typical wet blanket, prototypical politician.
Yeah,
I had two other ones. So, or JR, are you done? Sorry, I didn't.
All good, guys.
I was gonna say I had two other. I actually like Hardy's dad. I find him very noble, and I like the fact that he is willing to go to those lengths just to keep his store and everything else afloat. And then the other person I had was Anna May for her dedication to the game of golf.
Classic. That was Hagen's secretary or whoever that was.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
She was one hell of a hole.
Yeah. I don't know how she didn't topple to the floor without being so top heavy. Let's jump into quotes. What are some of the quotes that stood out for you guys?
I had one caddy to carry his clubs, two caddies to carry him home. I thought that was so funny when I heard that quote. I loved it. Let the ball go in, less passer. Embarrassing for quite some time now. When Bagger said that, he's embarrassing. Yeah. He's been embarrassing for quite some time now. And anybody drinking, when Hagen said that when they were golfing, anybody drinking? Because he wanted a quick breakfast cocktail about that. I thought he was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like I think it's one of the opening lines in the movie. Terrific shot him in the woods again. I spend more times there in the trees than the squirrels.
Yeah.
In that same video when he's talking about having a heart attack at Augusta National, the whole time I just thought to myself, not a bad place to go if you're going to kick the bucket.
Yeah, if you're going to go.
Sure. Yeah. What I have, wouldn't know a putter from a pussy willow. Who'd you take your clothes off for? Chattanooga when Matt Damon's. What else I have? This is where it's going to be one when they're talking about the green when Bagger's doing the walkover with his bare feet. I mean, you know, drive for show, putt for dough, kind of thing. And then the line you kind of talked about it, JR, when Matt Damon says, "I'm not asking for your crown, Walter. If I wanted it bad enough, I'll just take it." I just have down beside it, pure cock and balls move, and then he goes and kisses Charlize Theron like a boss.
Yeah.
Like just fires him up. I liked it.
Yeah,
corny, but I liked it.
What about this one too, where Bagger said, "I set myself directly in front of you," and I thought that's the best place to be. It's true because we've all had those moments where the best place in front of me on the golf course, or the best place near me on the golf course, is right in front. You never know where it's going once in a while.
Yeah. No, I thought one of the speeches I really like, and I think it's in the trailer that we heard earlier, which is the one about how drunk is drunk enough, talking about brain cells.
Right. Yeah.
That was a good one. The one where Bagger says something about you've got a choice. You can either stop or you can start. I thought that was a really powerful one because he's and I think that it parallels the one that everybody keeps saying to him. Talking about his past and talking about this hiatus that he's kind of taken from reality, really, where he's saying that's in his mind it's so long ago, but for everyone else it's just a moment ago, because that's how much he meant to Savannah. He was this hero. He was kind of their heartbeat, and when he kind of went into the shadows, it really had a big impact on it. So for everybody, they were kind of just waiting for him. So for them, it's just a moment ago, and for him, it's so long ago. So I thought that kind of that whole tied into that. And the other one I had was the one where he was telling you mentioned it a little bit earlier, where he said, "You just go ahead and snap it over into the left there, and I'll tell everyone you got sick and went home." And he's like, "I can't quit." And he's like, I know. I just want to make sure you know that." That was kind of a big moment for him. It's like, basically, sack up, let's go here.
We got a job to do.
Yeah, and then the last one I had was $5 guaranteed. And that made me think of Terry Ryan Sr.
Oh, that's right.
$5,000. Don't bring your lawyer.
$5,000. Oh my god.
On a serious note, though, how intimidating is that 18th hole?
Oh,
you're teeing off with that hazard in front of you.
Yeah.
Like I said to Sarah, I'd forgotten about this movie, and I said, "Oh my god, that is one hell of a hole." She's like, "What is that?" "You just got to hit it over the water." I'm like, Yeah, but there's some kind of mind fuck there when you have to tee off.
Yeah.
And you're hitting driver, especially, and you're like, oh, if I top this one, or if I cut it the wrong way, or it's going in the lake, you're just,
There's not a lot of room for error there. Same with that hole up. I think it's Pebble Beach where they have the big dog leg left around the water.
Bay Hill, I think.
Bay Hill. That's it. Sorry.
Yeah.
That one would really mind fuck me as well. Let's jump into some little known facts. So, originally the lead roles were going to be played by Morgan Freeman and Robert Redford, but after careful consideration, Redford decided that the movie would work much better with younger men playing Bagger Vance and Randolph Juna. I think I'm glad they did that. I mean, I think you could have easily had Morgan Freeman play Will Smith's role, but I think you can't have Robert Redford play Randolph Juna. He's too old.
You know what? That's a nice move of just like a passing of the torch too. Like pass it along a little bit and let someone else kind of do some roles, and you open them up to different people. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I don't know how much I would have seen Morgan Freeman doing it, because I feel like he would have been. I mean, he's great in everything he does. Let's be honest, but I feel like there was something. The relationship between Matt Damon's character and Bagger Vance there, because they're, we'll say, relatively around the same age at this time. I mean, I know Will Smith's obviously older, but I feel like there would have been a noticeable age gap with Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon at this time, and it wouldn't have played off as well. I feel like there was something to me about having Bagger be somewhat younger that made sense.
If you were going to do the kind of ghost thing, Jamer, you'd go with Morgan Freeman totally. And make it blatantly obvious. You'd have Morgan Freeman as like the
that makes sense.
Voice of reason here. That's who I would go with.
That being said, he would have been the sage voice of wisdom still, because he would have been older, right?
Because he's brilliant, and he's brilliant.
I just picture Morgan Freeman playing the character like he did with Prince of Tides when he was Robert kind of guy there. So Matt Damon did not have any previous golf experience, which you can kind of see as you were kind of mentioning about his swing, Webb. So he spent a month with golf pro Tim Moss in Hilton Head, South Carolina, to prepare for the role. Moss was well known throughout South Carolina's golfing community, having worked as a PGA master teaching professional at several local courses. Sadly, Moss passed away in 2016 at the age of 66.
Is Hilton Head the course where the movie's filmed?
I do have a note about that. There's 2 courses that they shot in South Carolina, but no, it wasn't at one. It wasn't at Hilton Head.
They're both very nice courses.
I'll just mention that now. So the golf scenes were shot on 2 courses in South Carolina. The Pete Dye course on the Colleton River, Colleton River Plantation in Bluffton, and the Ocean course on I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Kiowa Island.
Yeah,
that's the locations for the courses.
That is one. I think that course has been home to PGA championships.
I think I remember playing it on, like, I had a PC golf game back in like the early 90s. And
it's in one of the Tiger Woods golfs too.
Is it? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty sure it's that one.
Nice. So Bagger Vance, so this is kind of talking about where the actual story came from. So Bagger Vance and Randolph Juna are representations of Bhagavan Krishna and Arjuna from the Hindu text of the Bhagavad Gita. The lessons learned by Juna are loosely based on those Krishna teaches to Arjuna while masquerading as his lowly chariot driver. So this is taken from an ancient Hindu text, which kind of, I think they mostly followed it from what I was reading, some of the historical stuff I was reading about it.
Although, why there's the Hagen's got like a Indian caddy, doesn't he?
He is.
I think that's kind of a nod. I actually tried to research it to see if he actually did have an Indian caddy that he brought around. I couldn't find anything about it, so I'm assuming that's some type of a nod to the original story.
The original story makes sense.
Yeah. So, although the film is based on fiction, both Bobby Jones and Walter Hagen were real golfers. Jones was the more famous because, among other things, he founded the Masters tournament in Augusta, Georgia, as you mentioned that earlier, AJR.
Mm-hmm.
So Brad Pitt was offered the role of Randolph Juna, but he turned it down. What do you think Brad Pitt would have? How would he have done this role?
He'd be fine. You know what? He's Brad Pitt. He'd pull it off. he would figure it out. He would practice. He'd look great. He'd do it too. He'd look fantastic doing it. He'd pull off his southern accent. He'd do it.
He would have killed it. I think he would have stole the show more.
Yeah. And,
I just think he's a different level actor, in my opinion.
At that time, you're getting into the big time heavyweights. Like, I mean, Damon obviously was big back then too, but he wasn't like as big as he is now. But Brad Pitt at that point was huge.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. If Brad Pitt would have done the role, I think you're right. He would have stood out. You would have been able to say, like, this is actually, the story is around this guy. Like, I think it would have been more noticeable as him being the main guy.
Yep. So the film cast includes 3 Oscar winners: Matt Damon, Charlize Theron, and Jack Lemmon, and 1 Oscar nominee, Will Smith. Rachel Portman also won an Oscar, so she did the soundtrack. So there's a lot of gold involved in this movie, which is probably why the budget was $80 million. The final acting role was the final acting role for Jack Lemmon, which he passed away shortly after. I don't even know if he made it through to production, but I know he passed away shortly after this movie was released, essentially. There's one thing about Jack Lemmon that was cool too. The very first line in the movie, when he's on the tee, I forget what the line was, but he says something along the lines of like, it's showtime, or one of these things like that. And apparently that used to be his opening line when he'd come out on the stage as a stand-up comedian. So they kind of included that in there as like a nod to Jack Lemmon and his career, which I thought was kind of neat.
That's awesome.
It's a little subtle thing, right? Mm-hmm. So the film is set in 1931, as the real Bobby Jones won golf's Grand Slam in 1930, which consists of winning 4 major tournaments in the same calendar year. So Adele Invergordon makes reference of that. She says last year he won the Grand Slam of golf. So that was realistic and from what the time was set. So at the time, pre-Masters golf tournament, the 4 majors were the United States Amateur Championship, the Amateur Championship, which is the British Open, the Open Championship at the U.S. Open Championship. And as of 2021, Bobby Jones is the only man to win the Grand Slam. Tiger Woods won 4 tournaments, making up the modern-day Grand Slam consecutively. However, it was over 2 calendar years.
Yeah, Tiger Slam.
The Tiger Slam, yeah. So the scene in which Randolph's ball moves and the officials are trying to get him to say it was a trick of light or that he imagined it is based on an actual incident that involved Bobby Jones and Walter Hagen. In 1925, Jones was challenging for the U.S. Open Championship at Worcester Country Club in Worcester, Massachusetts. On the 11th hole, as he addressed his ball in the rough, it appeared to move. It was determined that no one else saw the infraction, including his fellow competitors Gene Sarazen and Walter Hagen, and the marshals left it up to Jones as to whether or not the foul should be called. Jones called the breach on himself, and after the marshal announced the stunning act of sportsmanship to the crowd, Jones replied, "Do you commend a bank robber for not robbing a bank? No, you don't. This is how the game of golf should be played at all times." He eventually lost the tournament by 1 stroke. I think that speaks to the character of Bobby Jones.
That's why he's remembered today.
Yeah.
That's right.
He has integrity.
That's right. There's some nobility to that, right?
Yeah. And everything I've ever read about Bobby Jones, there's just so many stories like that where he's just like, he was kind of like a one of a kind, one of those people that you look back on in history and you're like, wow, what an amazing individual. So let's jump into our realism review. What did you find realistic and what was unrealistic?
All right. So some of the things I have is for the realism I had, the heartache of golf. The ups that we have talked about this already. Just the complete overall, the mental grind to go through in golf and in a game of golf over the course of 3.5 hours or so. That putting wins, and we always talked about that. The aspect of your love lost after the war and kind of losing touch with people. I thought that was very real. Advice from your caddy. I thought the clothing was amazing. I love the clothing and the attire from the era that they wore. I thought it was fantastic. Some of the swings, there was, I had the quality of swings were okay in regards to some of the fake, the shot through the trees that Juna made. I don't know what that one was. I've tried I think, Jamer, your line is trees are 80% air, JR, and you can go through. Except
it's not So I rewound that and watched that same, because I had that note too, JR. Sorry to interrupt. I had that same note, and I'm like, there's no way that line, with him being a righty, he's making that shot. Not a chance in hell. Like, I rewound it and watched it 4 times. It's not happening.
Not
maybe
where the
for a
dog leg
left
was either.
No, maybe for a lefty he's getting through, but not for a righty.
Even if he was a lefty, you got to hit that thing through a tight window. There's
But a lefty at least has more of a chance of getting it through than the righty. No chance.
Yeah,
none.
No,
100%.
There's a tree on the left-hand side that's hanging over that he's not getting.
No.
A couple of other false things I had were like, to get your swing back and get that good that quick. I don't know, guys. That doesn't. I don't know if that happens. Maybe it does. I don't know.
Essentially, you're playing against Tiger Woods, or like at this.
You're playing Mickelson and Woods.
You're playing against top guys. Yeah.
Yeah, like tough. I put that playing the top dogs right away. The shots to the trees. Okay, so and there was a couple other ones I noticed is so Juno would shoot last on tees, and I'm like, it just showed him winning holes. Like, did you guys not notice some of that? Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it would show him like winning a hole, and I'm like, he's always teeing off last. And I'm like,
I'm not sure if they had different rules back then about like if they just had an order.
Hey, from a guy who tees off last a lot, I know that he's not.
Well, I know that, but I think they made a big deal about the order of who was going to tee off. So I think maybe back in the day they always just stuck with the order.
Oh, I don't think so. I feel like that's always been a rule, but you may be right.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of let it slide, but I don't know.
Anyway, those are some of the stuff I had. Those are some of the things I had, Blythe.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got pretty much all the same ones I had. I talked about the 18th tee over the water. I mean, there's all kinds of holes like that, like Crowbush. There's a couple of those that I can think of, not over water, but over a gully and things like that. They're a little bit of a mind fuck from the tee blocks.
Prince Edward Island, folks.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to mention, the driver iron. Both scenes with the driving iron, right, where he keeps it down out of the wind for control, totally realistic. And then the second time where he's in the bunker and he thinks he's going to get there in 2. You know, that cockiness sometimes when you're feeling it, you're in the flow. Yeah, exactly. The tin cup moment where you just, oh yeah, I can get there in 2, and then you end up being like 4, and you're like, oh shit, I should have just laid up and done what I should have done, played it smart. That happens to everybody.
And I love Hardy's reaction, because everybody's been there where they're watching it and they're like, don't do it.
Yeah, for sure. And then I thought, I just said the guy that played Bobby Jones had a hell of a swing.
Yeah, I just have one comment to add, and it's an unrealistic one. When Bagger's explaining how the grass shifts from the morning to the afternoon, and how putts are going to roll one way in the morning and the same putt's going to roll, that's not how it works. It's breaks. It's like the elevation of the greens and the grading of the greens. That's what's going to make the ball break. It's not going to be the way the grass shifts in the morning and the night.
I will say this too for the, I guess, maybe unrealistic things. And this is comparing it to modern day. So again, take it with a grain of salt. Where they have the pin placement on the 18th hole and where Matt Damon has to putt from, when you watch that putt and the breaks in that putt, there's no way that they would make a putt that ridiculous on Sunday from the 18th. They might, but like,
that's
on other holes, sure, probably not on 18.
That's a grumpy groundskeeper.
Yeah, that's my brethren right there. Like, good on them, but like, you know,
are they at the Amersfoort Golf and Country Club?
Yeah, there's nothing country about that place. Yeah, and the only thing I thought was kind of weird, but I could, in thinking back on it now, I could definitely see it because A, it's America, and B, it's the South. When Jones and Hagen show up and there's like the tournament kind of like press conference, if you will, whatever, like there's a lot of pomp and circumstance for this tournament in a depression era, and like it was so over the top. I'm like, how much money would really be able to be spent in this? But then I got thinking, this is like the make or break thing for this town.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So maybe they're like, yeah, we got to go all out.
Yeah, these are the same towns that spend money on jumbotrons over.
That's what I mean. So I mean, after I was thinking about it a little bit more, I'm like, yeah, it's probably more realistic than I'm giving it credit for.
Southern Pride is huge. Like Southern Pride is legit and it's huge, and they go full out. So I will attest to that.
I thought there would be a little bit more hate for the whole Yankee piece too, right? With the Northern guys coming down, I thought there'd be a little bit more. I don't know what.
You're desperate because it's the Great Depression at that point.
Yeah.
Good point, though. It's a good point. Let's jump into the soundtrack. So the music was composed by Academy Award-winning composer Rachel Portman. Portman has scored over 100 movies, including The Joy Luck Club, Emma, The Cider House Rules, JR's favorite movie, Chocolat, and
Chocolat. Thank you. Can't get enough.
Smile. What do you guys think of the soundtrack?
I thought it was fine. I'm usually pretty brief on these. Good. Did everything I wanted out of the era of this time. Nothing great. Nothing crazy stood out to me. I'm not going to lie. Maybe I'm missing stuff, but to me, nothing really stood out to me. But
there's no pop music, so it's hard to or popular music. So it's hard to really go digging in on that. It's perfect soundtrack music for this time. I guess the only thing I would have liked to maybe see a little bit more would be some authentic kind of late 20s 30s music, even when they're, I guess, but I think
they had a couple good tracks where they were the ragtime music. It was,
I didn't think there was as much the scene where he's playing cards in the back with the plantation guys. There was an opportunity there for some I don't know, Muddy Waters or kind of some
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? A little bit more.
That would have been a good scene for it.
Yeah, a little bit more reference there. But I mean, it was really what the hell do I know? I haven't won an Oscar for a soundtrack, obviously, but I thought there was some opportunities where you could have put popular music, especially if their budget was as ridiculous as it was.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I guess they would have been paying the actors because they had some big name actors, but still, you had a pretty big budget for this movie. You could have.
Yeah. I thought they did a really good job with the golf scene overtures, when they do. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they focus in. I know it's kind of corny, but when they focus in on Bobby Jones's, when he's fix your eyes on Bobby Jones, and he's into his routine and his focus, because that's what all good pros are right? They flip the switch, and it's just now they're in the zone. You can't even I've played with some guys where they are unrecognizable when they're in the zone. It's a thing, right? And so when he's in the field or whatever,
he's got his pre-shot routine that he just sticks to, and it helps. It's that whole piece of familiarity brings success kind of thing, right?
Yes.
The more you practice that thing.
Yeah, I never actually figured that out. I had too much anxiety, and I didn't know how to cope with it. I didn't realize that routine actually helps people deal with anxiety. So that's why I always love that shit. And the music they were playing through those things, and when he goes on his run, I thought it was tastefully done. The music's kind of when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that's Bagger Vance. It's pretty good music. Let's jump into our movie wrap up. Where does this rank among all-time golf movies, and where do you have it on all-time sports movies?
Golf movies, I have it in probably my top 4. Yeah, I just like the actors in it. I still like the story. I love that era of time. I never really mentioned that yet. I just love the time frame. I love the music, the clothing. I love how simple it was. And I mean, this is a different sport, but I love baseball, and I loved baseball from the era too.
Yeah.
And that whole everything, a lot about it. The trains, you don't see trains, but just the automobiles, I love. So I got to put it probably top 4 in golf for sure. It's probably a top 35 overall. It's my kind of era, my kind of time that I love.
Fair enough. I agree with the nostalgia for the time period, right? We talked a lot about this when we talked about The Natural, right? And even a League of Their Own, that kind of time frame. There's something so simple and so sentimental about that time, right? People are just genuine people at this point in time, right? There's nothing kind of getting them in the way from just being decent, hardworking people. So there's something really kind of nice. I would say golf-wise, I was trying to think of other golf movies. I think I've got it at probably 5 or 6, anywhere between 5 and 10, but I'm going to say 5 or 6. And then in terms of all time, before, I would have probably put it in my top 50. After rewatching it now, I think it's probably closer to like in the 80s. It's just I found a lot of the Will Smith stuff it was too corny for me. I just couldn't rewatch. I was like, oh, shut up! Like, just stop! Like, we get it, yeah, the authentic swing. Like, it was just, I don't know. To your point, Jamer, you made earlier, like with Cleo, just like phasing all that out. I don't know. It just seemed really cliched.
Yep.
That's and I mean, there was and it just, I found it kind of long, to be quite honest with you. And it was okay, but it was, I don't know. I thought the kid was the best part of the movie, to be quite honest.
He was great. He was really. I actually have this one quite high. I have it number 2 in golf, and I have it number 12 overall. And the reason I have it is so high is I remember watching this in the theater, and I really liked it when it first came out. I thought I like the actors, like all these actors. I like Matt Damon. I like Will Smith. I love Robert Redford in movies that he directs. The romanticism of golf, the spiritual connection, kind of the life lessons, the whole thing. I thought the soundtrack really flowed nicely with it. I just thought it was a beautifully done movie with a lot of depth beyond the sport, even though there is a lot of cliches, and I totally agree with you, Webb, on that. But I think there's a lot to think about beyond the movie. Although I would have written things differently, and I already went into that earlier with how I would have written that character with Bagger Vance. I would have left more to the viewer to try to determine whether they were an actual person or not, but. Yeah, overall, I do enjoy the movie. I liked it. I went into it with a clear mind, thinking I haven't watched this in a long time, and it kind of stood up for me. So I've got it there.
Is this one you own, James?
Yes, I have this one on DVD as well. So this week, again, we're doing a draft, and sticking kind of with the theme of this movie. This week's draft topic is: if you could pick any celebrity that isn't connected to the world of golf to be your caddy in a match, who would it be? So if you could pick a celebrity that's not connected to the world of golf to be your caddy in a match, who would it be? And this week, it's you, right, Webb?
No, it's JR, then you, then me.
Overall,
JR, then me, then Webb. Okay.
For the viewers / listeners at home, Webb is coming into this one cold. I have not put any thought into this ahead of time, so
no excuses.
Partly because I totally forgot about it, but let's go.
Losers make excuses, winners find ways. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're all about the cliches. I'll rip them off.
Losers always worry about their best. Winners go home, fuck the prom queen.
All right, here we go. So first overall pick. This one, a little bit different for you guys, but I'm going to go with a Canadian. He's an MVP in his chosen sport.
Wow.
Smart, intelligent, easygoing, but at the same time would tell you what you really need to hear at a time and would be very delicate in doing it. Loves soccer, or football, as you would say. Had a brother who was a great football player. Boys, my caddy's Steve Nash, first overall.
Wow. Interesting.
You certainly turned James Harden around.
I'm going Steve Nash right off
although Mike D'Antoni might be helping with that.
I thought you were going to go with that goaltender, Forrest, whatever his name was. From remember that Canadian soccer goalie? It was on soccer.
With Stockholm.
Greg Forrest.
Greg Forrest.
Thank you, Webb.
I was like, wow, that's coming out of the woodwork. Greg Forrest.
I remember Steve Nash loves footy. That's all I remember Steve Nash. He loves footy. Oh
Good
my
point.
God.
I think he's got part ownership in the Vancouver Whitecaps team.
As he should. I would too if it was fun. If you love it, go ahead and you got his money. Yeah, Steve Nash would be a great caddy for me.
Wow. All right, I guess I'm up. Well, I'm going to go with the guy. He's an incredibly smart guy, which I actually didn't know. So he graduated from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. He has a master's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Sydney and won the Fulbright scholarship to MIT. So he's going to be able to analyze my swing. He's going to be talking about ball flight, trajectory, exit velocity, all that stuff.
Woo!
This guy also is a specimen, and I think he's been dabbling in some of the hormone stuff. So I think he's going to help me beat some drugs tests. So Bryson DeChambeau is not going to have shit on me with this guy on my bag. I'm going with Dolph Lundgren.
And if he dies, he dies.
He will break you.
The guy came out of the Iron Curtain. He's ready to go.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's
All right.
awesome.
Well, I feel kind of stupid because I used this one a little bit earlier in a text message with the fellas, but I got to go with it as my first one. So you guys know that nothing frustrates me more than pace of play when we're playing golf. Our foursome has a rule: you can be bad or you can be slow, but you can't be both. So to save me from losing my shit, I need somebody that will lose their shit for me. So I'm going with the king of losing his shit. I'm going with Johnny McEnroe as my number one pick for my caddy, because he would be screaming at the little old ladies and their umbrellas up ahead. Are you for real with that umbrella? Get out of there with that umbrella.
That's awesome.
He'd be screaming. He'd be losing his mind. So I'm going with Johnny Mac. And my second pick, let me see. I'm going to need somebody to calm the nerves. I like to have a good cocktail from time to time. So I'm going to need somebody that knows how to whip up a good cocktail and a good drink. I'm going to go with Tom Cruise for his cocktail days as my caddy. Just to whip me up a nice Tom Collins or something, just to take the edge off of maybe an Arnie Palmer, just to take the edge off.
It's a good call.
Nice. Very nice. Good pick.
Good call. Good pick. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with this guy. He's cool as shit. You're never gonna run out of cigars with this guy on the golf course, and you guys know I like to have a nice cigar while I'm golfing. He's also gonna be regaling you with amazing stories from all the wild Hollywood parties he attended in the 70s and 80s. And at the end of the round, I'd probably score some courtside Lakers tickets to watch the GOAT in action. I'm going with Jack Nicholson.
Oh, excellent. Excellent pick. Nice.
How are you gonna have? Oh, never mind. I'm not even going there.
Get to watch the GOAT.
Oh, okay. God, baby. Oh, here we go.
I literally was thinking.
Hey, for those of you listening at home, take a drink, because this is like the 1500th episode that we've done that the boys have made some kind of LeBron GOAT comment.
Okay, you know what? He actually beat me because I was going to pick LeBron as my next caddy. So because he's GOAT, and it won't be Ray Lewis either. Don't worry about it. Or all right, it's Russell, but no. So my next pick. So I'm gonna go.
You say Pete Carroll, I'm hanging up.
No. Can you imagine? So I'm gonna go with my next pick. I need a guy who I love to golf, but I like the 19th hole as well. And I need a guy who's going to keep me fired up. And sometimes I need a little after the 18th hole. I'm getting tired and a little bit hot. I need an all right. I want Matthew McConaughey.
Yes,
caddy, folks.
Apparently a pretty good golfer too.
Hell of a pick.
He's a very good golfer.
Hell of a pick.
And then for my last pick, this one's tough for me. I have a few different people. I'm actually going to go with someone who has a certain set of skills that'll be able to find my golf ball. He will find it, and when he will find it, he will bring it back to me. I'm going with none other than Taken's Liam Neeson.
You just cut my grass.
You picked Liam Neeson?
You cut my grass. I had
Liam Neeson.
I was taking him next.
Because he will find you.
I said he's got a very specific set of skills, and reading greens has got to be one of them.
I'm going. Liam Neeson's my last.
I can't believe you just cut my grass. That's
I can't believe you had Liam Neeson.
All right, I guess I'm gonna have to finish it off with. I'm going off the grid here. So I'm assuming I'm playing in a money tournament. And I'm grabbing this guy because I know by the end of the round, everyone's going to quit before the tournament ends, and I'm going to win just by default. I'm picking this guy, and I'm just going to I'm going to turn him loose on all the golfers. I'm picking Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh,
no, come on.
If I was in a foursome and he was your caddy, I would quit. I'd be with McConaughey in the 19th hole. That's where I'm going to be. Like, we're out of here.
When I was in my last year at Clarkson, we did it. He did stand up at our university at our rink, and we went to the show. We were mangled, and he was using our dressing room as like his place to get ready and stuff, like his quiet spot,
green room
or whatever. So the guy, like security guards, let us go down because it's like our dressing room or whatever. So we hung out with Gilbert Gottfried after the show. After his show, it was hilarious. We were like mangled. We had beers with him and stuff. It was classic. The guy was like, he's tiny too. He's like just a tiny little guy. It was funny.
Ugh.
He's annoying.
Right. Last pick, and I don't know if you guys will let me have this one or not. But I mean, it's out there, and if I have the opportunity to, I'm going to. So I need to win. So I'm going to get somebody who is the ultimate winner, the ultimate trash talker, and one hell of a golfer in his own right. I'm going with the Black Cat, Black Jesus, the GOAT, the real GOAT. I'm going with 6'6" out of North Carolina, Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
You think Jordan's going to carry your clubs?
You're goddamn right he is.
He's going to use a
Goddamn
drone.
right he is. And you know what's going to, you know why? Because he's going to be like, he's too drunk. I'll just take this shot for him.
And he'll take it with a cigar in his mouth while he does it.
That's right.
23.
That's right. And then he'll just give me a fresh pair of 11s and I'll be hanging out in the cart chilling.
You'll be on Goat Alley at Grove 23 with Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, and Wayne Gretzky. They have lockers. That's the greatest thing ever. Good pick, Webb. Good pick.
Yeah.
How am I not gonna take I feel like it's just becoming a thing. I should figure out new ways that I can take Michael Jordan in any draft.
Yeah, I think you've taken him in almost every draft we've had.
Absolutely.
He's batting 65%. He's hitting 65% on yours.
He is,
100%.
for sure. Tell them where to hit us up, Webb.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening and engaging with us on social. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And please continue to engage with us on Twitter at Big League Flicks and on Instagram at Big League Flicks Pod. You can also check us out on YouTube and on TikTok by searching at Big League Flicks as well.
Happy birthday shout out to Steve-O. Happy
Steve-O, happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, Steve-O.
Big League Flicks, Jordan, Christian, and Jammer talking movies about sports and the glitz and the glamour. Got a cold beer pairing for the leading lady staring. Fun facts and trivia and man rocket comparing. Soundtracks and music, they'll rate all these things. Was it real or did they lose us as the fat lady sings? Talking junk, have a giggle, comedy, drama, romance. Did the film deliver 6 to noon in my pants? With their big bag of tricks, these podcast critics, Jordan, Christian, and Jammer with Big League Flicks. Jordan, Christian, and Jammer with Big League Flicks. Jordan, Christian, and Jammer.